Today on AMR, 1 dead, 4 hurt in a bombing in Palm Springs that was deemed as an act of terrorism by the FBI. 2 dead and more than a dozen injured after a Mexican naval training ship struck the Brooklyn Bridge. Trump says he'll speak separately to Zelensky and Putin today about potential Russian and Ukrainian ceasefire. Department of Homeland Security is considering a reality show where immigrants compete for the U.S. citizenship. And the Menendez brothers got a major win in their fight for freedom, but it's not over yet. I'm Anthony Martinez, and here's my report. Welcome to AMR. We do want to start off with the breaking news we're just getting in. Former President Joe Biden has been diagnosed with prostate cancer, his personal office announced on Sunday. This comes after a recent physical which led to further evaluation. Biden, who's 82, was found to have an aggressive form of the disease. Doctors noted that the cancer is hormonal sensitive, which allows for effective management. Biden and his family are currently reviewing treatment options with his medical team. The news comes amid ongoing political tensions within the Democratic Party following Biden's controversial decision to run for a second term, which he would eventually withdraw from. At 82, Biden is the oldest person to have served as president. Donald Trump, now 78, was the oldest to be inaugurated. Now let's go on to the deadly car bombing outside a clinic in Palm Springs, California that killed 1 person and injured 4 others is now being investigated as an act of domestic terrorism. It was likely driven by an anti-natalist ideology, the belief that people should not have children. 2 senior law enforcement officials said that the suspect appeared to hold those beliefs as indicated by a 30-minute audio recording and social media posts supporting those views.
Okay, so I figured I would just make a recording explaining why I've decided to bomb an IVF building or clinic. Basically, it just comes down to I'm angry that I exist, and that nobody got my consent to bring me here. And I know what you're going to say. How could we have got your consent because you didn't exist, blah, blah, blah.
While those materials are still being authenticated, authorities believe they reflect the motive behind the attack. The suspect, believed to be 25-year-old Edward Barquins from 29 Palms, had reportedly been struggling with depression and personal relationship issues. Investigators also suspect he is behind an earlier post forum about contemplating suicide using an explosive, and also possibly ran a YouTube channel showcasing experiments with homemade bombs. On Saturday, tactical law enforcement units were seen at a residence in 29 Palms about an hour from the bombing site as part of the FBI and Palm Springs Police Department investigation. FBI officials have since classified the explosion as terrorism, and the case has rapidly escalated into one of the largest bombing investigations in Southern California. According to the assistant director of the FBI's Los Angeles field office, the car bomb detonated around 11 a.m. on Saturday morning. North Indian Canyon Drive, near the American Reproductive Center Clinic. The explosives severely damaged multiple buildings and businesses within a 250-yard radius, and the blast was reportedly heard and felt from miles away. While names of the injured and the individuals' extent of their injuries have not been disclosed, the event has left significant impact on the community and the medical infrastructure. Here's how locals reacted to the event.
What did that make you think when you read that?
I originally heard, was in my bathroom, and I heard this loud noise, vibration, a sense of vibration, and I'm like, oh, there's a contractor working on a Saturday. And then I'm like, what the hell was that? And so I got the alert, and I'm on the PSPD police department kind of feed. And they were avoid the area, and curiosity, obviously. And I go do my walks over here at the park, Ruth Hardy, and it was just wow. And then obviously the destruction is just crazy. I mean, all these windows are broken.
Yeah, what does that make you think seeing this?
It's scary in a way. That it was an explosion.
And you were asking if it was a natural explosion, but come to find out, we know now that this was a bomb, that somebody died. When you're hearing more intense details like that, what does that make you think?
That's pretty scary. And if it was targeted, that's even scarier. Yeah.
There's an explosion targeting a reproductive health clinic. What does that make you think?
Hate never solves any issues. Never. Hate is terrible.
And you're coming out, I know you said you haven't been out in a few hours, but now you're looking at everything, you're seeing the glass. What is this making you think? I feel like probably disbelief. How are you feeling?
I am sad for the loss of life, but I'm sad for the community as a whole and what this type of act represents. It's not right. And hopefully everybody is about doing what's right.
Authorities are conducting investigation, analyzing evidence, looking at surveillance footage from local businesses around the area, and interviewing the suspect's family, friends, and associates. Investigators are combing through online content, including the suspect's social media and internet activity, to establish a motive and connection. Here's what officials said during a Sunday morning press conference.
The subject had nihilistic ideations, and this was a targeted attack against the IDF facility. Make no mistake, we are treating this, as I said yesterday, as an intentional act of terrorism. We believe he was attempting to live stream it, and yes, that is also part of our investigation.
California Governor Gavin Newsom and U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi were both briefed about the incident. Bondi stated on X that violence against a clinic is unforgivable, and emphasized support for women and mothers. Now to a historic Mexican naval training ship collided with the Brooklyn Bridge Saturday night, killing 2 people and injuring 21 others. Mayor Eric Adams confirmed the casualties at a late-night press conference, stating the incident occurred around 8:20 p.m. when the tall ship operated by Mexican Naval suffered a mechanical failure and lost power shortly after departing Pier 17. The ship, which had about 277 people aboard, veered off course and struck the iconic bridge. Officials say the ship's 3 towering pillars collided with the bridge, with at least 2 crew members injured while positioned on one of the pillars. Video captured the dramatic moment, showing people clinging and hanging to the pillars that smashed into the bridge. Emergency crews rushed to the scene. 21 individuals were transported to hospital via small boats after being rescued from the vessel. Several were seen on stretchers wearing neck braces. 2 were initially listed as critical condition. Despite the impact, no one fell into the water, and the Brooklyn Bridge remains structurally sound, according to the New York City Department of Transportation, which dispatched bridge inspectors to assist the damage. The U.S. Coast Guard established a safety zone around the East River stretch from Brooklyn Bridge to the Manhattan Bridge, and temporarily suspended commercial traffic in the area. Witnesses described a lively scene aboard the ship before the crash, with music playing and people standing across the pillars. Some characterized the atmosphere as party-like. The NYPD Special Operation Division confirmed that the ship lost all 3 of its pillars during the collision. Although the ship has been viewed as a symbolic ambassador for Mexico, it was not officially listed as a participant in the upcoming 250th anniversary American celebration. The National Transportation Safety Board and New York City Police Department are both investigating the cause of the crash. As of Sunday, the city urged the public to avoid the areas around the Brooklyn Bridge as cleanup investigation continues. And at least 27 people have died after a powerful weather system swept from the lower Midwest to the south over the weekend, with Kentucky and Missouri hit the hardest. In Kentucky, the governor has reported 18 fatalities, mostly in the Laurel County area, where a likely EF3 tornado destroyed numerous homes. One of the victims was a local firefighter, and 10 remain in critical condition. The governor described the scene as complete devastation, with homes flattened or heavily damaged. Missouri reported 7 deaths, including 5 in St. Louis County and 2 in Scott County. Over 60 patients were treated at the St. Louis hospital, with 2 children in critical condition. An estimate of 5,000 buildings were affected in the city, according to the St. Louis mayor. In Virginia, 2 people were killed by falling trees in separate incidents involving vehicles in Fairfax County and Fort Hunt. The National Weather Service reported 28 tornadoes on Friday, part of a system fueled by clashing warm and cool air masses. Power outages affecting more than 63,000 customers in Missouri and 58,000 in Kentucky. Federal and local agencies, including Homeland Security, are coordinating relief efforts. Kristi Noem emphasized federal support while reinforcing the local authorities as they lead the response. Now to President Trump, where he announced he will speak with the president of Ukraine and the president of Russia separately as part of his push to a ceasefire in the ongoing war. Trump said he will first call Putin at 10 a.m. today, followed by a conversation with Zelensky, aiming to stop what he describes as a weekly, in quote, bloodbath, claiming over 5,000 Russian and Ukrainian soldiers. Trump expressed hope that the talk will lead into a ceasefire and end to what is called a war that should have never happened. Facilitating peace was a central promise of his 2024 presidential campaign. This follows Friday's direct talks between Russia and Ukrainian officials, the first since the war had begun, which resulted in a prisoner swap but no major progress on a ceasefire. Meanwhile, Secretary of State Marco Rubio also spoke with Russian foreigners about peace efforts, putting to not attend that meeting, though Trump says he expects to meet with him personally, claiming, in quote, I think we'll solve it or maybe not, end quote. Trump has publicly cited both leaders at different points, urging Putin to halt attacks and previously clashing with Zelensky in a very intense Oval Office meeting earlier this year. Despite the tensions, the U.S. and Ukraine recently agreed to an economic partnership focused on Ukraine's rare earth minerals. Trump expressed hope that the talk will lead into a ceasefire and end to what is called a war that should have never happened. Apologies about that. Our script was mixed up a little bit. Now let's move on to President Trump's criticizing Walmart on Saturday after the retailer warned it would raise prices due to tariffs in a true social post. Trump urged Walmart to stop blaming the tariffs and instead to eat the tariffs, saying neither the company nor China should pass the cost to the consumers. Walmart CFO John David told CNBC the company is facing unprecedented prices increase due to tariffs, calling the environment challenging while acknowledging some progress on tariffs reduction from the Trump administration. David said rates remain too high. He added that Walmart aims to keep prices below competitors by absorbing some of the cost and working with suppliers to do the same. In response to Trump, Walmart reiterated its commitment to keeping prices low as possible, nothing that the impact of tight retail margins. Walmart joined other companies like Microsoft, Mattel, in warning of implementing price hikes linked to the tariffs. Mattel is moving production out of China while Microsoft raised prices on its Xbox consoles. Despite the challenges, Walmart maintains its full-year sales forecast but withheld guidance for the next quarter due to the tariffs uncertainty. Now to Rob Werfsoff, a television producer known for many reality hit shows, has pitched a controversial new show to the Department of Homeland Security titled The American, in which immigrants would compete in a series of challenges for a chance to win U.S. citizenship. According to Wolf, DHS appears to seriously be considering it, though the agency has not confirmed this. Trissa, the Assistant Secretary for Public Outreach at DHS, acknowledged the department has received hundreds of media pitches annually and confirmed that this is one that's still under review. However, she clarified that the DHS Secretary Kristi Noem has no involvement in this and is unaware of the show's pitch. The idea has sparked immediate backlash, with critics condemning it as exploitative. Here is what Representative Joaquin Castron thought about the idea.
Well, a few things. First, during this Trump administration, this Republican administration, it seems like every day we lose more and more of our humanity. And the second part is that President Trump installed the least qualified, most incompetent cabinet perhaps in American history, certainly in a century. And that's why we're getting such bad policies out of these folks. And, you know, the idea that you would do a reality show to have people compete for citizenship, it's just it's a sick idea. And if Kristi Noem really wants to go to Hollywood, then she should quit the cabinet and pitch a show to Hollywood and leave. But to take this kind of sick idea there really is just unserious and unbecoming of a cabinet secretary.
The pitch comes amid heightened tensions around the immigration policy under President Trump's administration, where his administration continues to pursue aggressive immigration reforms, including efforts to end birthright citizenship, expand deportations, and limit asylum access. Just this week, the Supreme Court blocked the administration's attempt to use the 1989 Aliens Enemy Act to deport alleged gang members without due process. In a separate development, the DHS reportedly requested 20,000 National Guard troops to assist in mass deportation efforts, following a directive from Trump to expand the immigration enforcement force by drawing on state and federal personnel. Rob's show proposal landing in this vile climate, adding fuel to the deeply polarized national conversation on immigration, civic identity, and the role of entertainment in the shaping of public policy. So, this idea of the show has been alleged in the works for 20 years, proposed under both Biden and Obama's administration, but none of them pursued them to the degree where we're seeing it at. And if this becomes a reality, it's a big issue for a lot of Americans and a lot of people who see this as not a good thing. But now let's move over to Las Vegas, where government opened fire at an athletic club in Las Vegas on Friday, killing one person and injuring two others. When police arrived, the suspect attempted to flee but was shot by officers and later died at the hospital. The motive remains unknown and the suspect identity has not been released. The victim, who was killed, was identified as Edgar Quinones, a 15-year employee of the gym. One of the injured remained in critical condition. The gym is temporarily closed as investigation continues. There's a new recent ruling by the Los Angeles judge that has opened the doors for Eric and Leon Menendez, convicted of murdering their parents in 1989, to potentially be released from prison after more than 30 years behind bars. The brothers, originally sentenced to life in prison without parole, were resentenced last week to 50 years to life. Judge Michael Jessic determined they no longer pose an unreasonable risk to society if released. This decision aligns with the stance of the former DA George Gascon, but goes against current District Attorney Nathan Hartman, who opposes the idea. So what happens next? The resentencing makes the Menendez brothers eligible for parole consideration as youth offenders. Their initial parole suitable hearings are now scheduled for June 13 of this year, replacing previously planned hearings. Though the format has changed, their clemency application with Governor Newsom remains active. During the parole hearings, commissioners will assess whether the brothers still pose a public safety risk. The public prosecutors, public individuals, and victims' relatives will have the opportunity to provide input. Hodgman confirmed a DA representative will attend. If the board recommends parole, that decision must be reviewed by the governor, who can approve, deny, or refer it to the full parole board. Newsom has not indicated how he would respond, but emphasized that he takes the board's evaluation seriously. As part of their clemency evaluation assessment, that Eric and Lionel posed a moderate risk of reoffending, partly due to its recent violation in prison, including the smuggling of a cell phone. Defense attorney Mark Gresco argued that these infractions do not reflect a serious risk or amount to a super strike, the kind of offense that might bar parole. Hodgman continues to oppose the release, saying that the brothers haven't fully accepted responsibility and pointing what he calls 16 unknowledgeable lies about the murder case. In both contracts, both brothers claim that in court they now take full responsibility for their actions and no longer seek to justify their crimes. New background evidence of the Menendez brothers, who were convicted of the killing of their parents, Jose and Kitty Mendez, on August 20th, 1989. They have long claimed that the act was in self-defense after Leon confronted their father about sexually abusing Eric, claiming that prosecutors have consistently dismissed it as fabricated. Most recently, the brothers filed a petition to overturn their conviction, citing new evidence, including a letter Eric allegedly wrote to a cousin discussing the abuse months before the murders. The petition also included claims from a former member of the boys band Menudo, who accused Jose Mendez, then an RCA record executive, of sexual assault. Despite the new claims, Hodgman argues this evidence does not meet legal standard for overturning the conviction and continues to oppose a retrial. That does it for this Monday with a lot of news. So that's AMR. I'm Anthony Martinez. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time with a lot more stories as it develops, especially with the Palm Springs bombing and President Joe Biden's cancer diagnostic. Have a good day. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give us a thumbs up, share the video, and if you want more content, follow us on social media at _RightNow News, or follow me directly at Tony Martinez Now. Anthony Martinez Reports is a RightNow News signature production, copyright 2025, RightNow News.